What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another top 5 free indie games of the week. I'm your host, Edrickson, coming back to reveal my top 5 favourite games you can play with your free time. This week had a huge challenge ahead of them to beat last week's 5, and what can I say? They exceeded my expectations and proved just how much of a delight to play. What I loved most this week was the soundtracks. One of my favourites coming from a game I thought I would hate. And yes, you got it, that's a Flappy Birds game, but this time had a delightful twist that turns into a dark horse for this week's running. So, let's get on with the list then, shall we? Surviving the Gauntlet and entering my list, we have Survivor Reborn. This was a rather enjoyable game, but for a game that needed a download to play, I failed to see why. The game itself was quite small and limited, so I was a little bit surprised I needed to download the 5 megabyte file. But that said, it does have a 2-player element, which does make it rather more enjoyable if you've got someone to play with. So what happens? You're on a huge Noah's Ark sized raft made of boxes, and for some godforsaken reason, everything wants you dead. And I mean everything. And what the hell did this guy do to deserve that, honestly? Talk about surviving one freaking screwed up situation straight into another. Sharks, planes, submarines, toxic waste, freaking seagulls, and mother freaking nature all want you dead. It's a mad melee of things that just want to end your poor, miserable life. The controls are simple, and you've got to keep allocating new crates to plug holes in your raft. If you get hit by anything, it's game over, so it's quite unforgiving. That's all there is to the game. Quick and simple. Single player and multiplayer choices. But if you can get that second person to play with you, definitely go for it. I can imagine this game is a lot more enjoyable if you have that other person, but unfortunately I didn't have that option at hand, so I couldn't quite fully appreciate this game for what it should have been like. However, don't put it off, definitely give it a go, okay, because it's a great little time killer, it's quite fun and it's quite addictive, so give it a go if you're looking for that kind of thing. Rolling into 4th place, we have Lim's Repair Station. This was a different game style than I'm used to. It's a bit of a puzzle game where you had to be an employee on a repair shop. You're at the conveyor belt and a series of orders are continuously sent your way, and you need to assess the damage and work out how to fix them. You need to repair the various damaged components, but also to check if they're valid, if it's a valid purchase, or if it's a breach of warranty or an illegal product. If you get the repair wrong, some moody sod pops up and threatens to fire you, but I never saw him follow through with any of his threats, so it kind of removed some of the challenge from the game. That said, maybe it's just because I wasn't bad enough. If he was particularly bad, maybe you'll lose, but I wasn't quite sure. The whole game was quite enjoyable as a whole, but what makes this game particularly memorable is its amazing soundtrack. If you click the radio at the top of the screen, this game springs to life to an excellent tune. The game had my favourite music in the background of all the games of this week, and it was just fantastic. I actually came back to play this game on a few occasions during the reviews this week, just to get myself a new fix of it. It was definitely a great addition to the game. Overall, this game was very enjoyable and only let down in the minimal variations in tasks. However, don't let that put you off playing it. It's confusing a little at first if you don't read the manual, so I will recommend you do read it, but the soundtrack definitely helps this game rock its way into the top 5 as 4th place. Gliding into 3rd place, my dark horse of the week is Every Good Bird Deserves Flappiness. Now, I know what you're thinking, and I thought the same thing. When I saw the title of this game, I rolled my eyes with dismay, and I thought I'd escaped to see a Flappy Bird Games, so I grudgingly clicked on this one. That said, I was pleasantly surprised. It does start off with Flappy Bird's game, but it adds to it by having different levels to it. Upon dying, does this game really get good? And some fantastic music kicks in, and suddenly this game is kicked up a notch. There's a little more I can add to the game really than that, but there are 4 zones after the actual game, and each one gives you a chance to further bulk up your score, and it's a fantastic addition. It doesn't stop it from being a Flappy Birds game, but it definitely made it enjoyable enough to play it a few times and bob my head along to the music. The gameplay was a little less repetitive than the previous position, so it just flew its way past into 3rd place, which is great. So definitely give this game a go. Slaying the competition and coming back for more is Return to Tolagal. I think that's how you pronounce it. Again, another name slightly difficult to pronounce. This game so narrowly missed out on top place. If anything, I think it's tied for first. The only reason it didn't win is because I felt more involved in our first place's game and worked really hard to immerse me. This game is still amazing and I loved it, and it's the game I played most out of the list. You play the role of a hero who has been called crazy by the king for making mad accusations of the horrors in Tolagal. So, seeking to prove your credibility, you return and need to battle to the depths of this dungeon to find the evidence you seek to prove that you are not mad, that you are actually telling a legit story. This is a turn-based RPG which lets you free roam until you get into combat. That's when the game breaks down and has an AP system, an action point system. And I say breaks down, it pauses a little bit, and you then have a limited amount of moves you can do, which is fantastic. So it doesn't slow it down, it's fluid, it's nice and it's crisp, but it has a challenge to it because you can't just run around and stab everything. You need to think about how you engage your foes. So this game is quite punishing. There are no checkpoints or permanent saves, and if you die, that's it, game over. You go back to the top level. So that adds an extra level of challenge to the game. You need to step back and assess how you're going to tackle everything. I made it to the third level of the dungeons before writing this, and that was after many tries. Matt Jennings from the jolly old UK has done well to make this a cracking game, and the music that fits so perfectly. It changes from area to area, but really helps to immerse you into the game. The variety of weapon types gives you plenty of angles to tackle a room, and the leveling up system caters to most playstyles. Out of the 5 games, this is the one I want to see finished most, and I say I want to see it finished because I did finish the top place of this running, so this is the second one now I wanted to see finished and see it through to the end. But this game narrowly missed out on first place, but I'm going to bend the rules and call this joint first place just for this week. So what takes the win this time? Creeping its way into the top position of the week is Finger Burns, and this game is great. It required a download to play, which automatically put it into high expectations for me. Combined with being a horror game, I was psyched for it. The atmosphere kicked in, and that was it. I was on the edge of my seat. The whole game was so fantastically eerie. It constantly had this overarching edge to it throughout, and the inability to defend yourself. You knew if something happened, you needed to flee. There was no fighting. So set in a poorly lit office, the protagonist needs to solve clues, putting the answer into the keyboard on a desk to unlock further rooms of the game. The clues got more vague as it went on, to the point where the second to last clue was a bit of an arse, and I really struggled with it. The most irritating bit was the answer that it crossed my mind, but I didn't give it a try, and it left me going in circles for quite a while until I suddenly figured and it clicked, and I went through it, and that was that. I solved it, but it was quite difficult at that point. The game maker, David Zimanski, has done an excellent job for this. It's a huge credit to him and his imagination. And he's quite an established indie game maker, and having only just found him, I eagerly look forward to playing some of his other games. If it's all on par with what I just played, then I highly recommend you check out his work. Overall, the game had a perfect atmosphere, and it did it without a cheap scare. It put you in a room, closed the door, and told you just to man up and get on with it. Your brain did the rest. Creepy sounds, poor lighting, flashlight, and slow movement. Oh, and a freaking kid crying in the background. You want to know how to freak me out? Make the fudging kids cry behind me, and that's it. At every man point is gonna leave my body. Because the second you hear that kid crying behind you and you spin around, there's nothing there. That's it. You're passing bricks, for crying out loud. But this game had the most depth and detail to it, and it was executed so perfectly. 30 minutes long for me. It says put an hour or two aside, but you can do it in 30 minutes, and it's free, which is perfect. 30 minutes and a free game, fantastic combination, and that's why it takes my top place this week, because it seriously freaked me out. So thanks for joining me, guys. I hope you agree with my top 5, although if you disagree, then please let us know in the comment sections below. Got a game you think we should play? Then also just put a note down there. Just say, Ed, play this game. It's awesome. And I'll be all over it, okay? Because I really want to have a really amazing top 5 that you guys can get involved with and also agree with. So don't forget to come back next week to see what wins next week's top 5 list. Like and favorite this video if you want to see more, and don't forget to subscribe. You want to find me? Then please head over to the Edrickson. to see me play through the Finger Burns and various other games. And guys, it's been fantastic having you joining us and watching through this, getting some great feedback from everyone, and so I'm really proud and really pleased to be a part of this top 5 indie games. So till next time guys, take care, all the best, adios amigos.